Healing from sexual betrayal is not something you're meant to navigate alone. Shock, confusion, and fear are common responses to an experience that can deeply disrupt your sense of safety. Welcome to Rise, Hope and Healing from Sexual Betrayal. I'm MaryAnn Michaelis, a licensed clinical social worker, certified sex addiction therapist, certified partner trauma therapist, and a recovering betrayed partner. Each week, we feature conversations with leading experts in betrayal trauma recovery, offering insight, validation, and practical tools to support your healing. If this episode supports you, please consider sharing it. You may help someone else feel less isolated and more understood. And if you're ready for additional support, we offer an online course and therapist-led groups created specifically for betrayed partners. You can find these at humanintimacy.com. We are glad you're here. Welcome back, and Dr. Skinner, it's so great to have you back on the podcast. It's been a couple weeks since you've been here. Welcome.
Good to be back, and the interviews you've done, I love it, and I'm excited for today's topic.
Dr. Skinner, we had our first season 2 podcast with Chris Cristiano, and she talked about trust, and she shared relationship tools of safety and recovery. And then we had Karen, who shared the different aspects of rebuilding trust through Brene Brown's Braving. And then we had Jennifer Johnson, who talked a lot about building trust in yourself. And I can't focus so much on what my spouse is doing. And I've got to learn how to trust myself so that I can be strong regardless of where my spouse is. And so we're coming from this buildup. Each one of these fantastic therapists has had so many great thoughts to share, and everybody has had such a different perspective, which I really loved. So when I say trust or rebuilding trust after betrayal, Dr. Skinner, I'm wondering what comes up for you first?
So there are multiple facets of trust because we are at different stages in my mind. So when I am younger, I'm more likely, depending on life experiences, to trust people. Now, if I've had difficult experiences of abuse or neglect, then my trust has gone down. But generally speaking, early events indicate whether we feel like we can trust people or not. So for me, trust actually begins in looking at the life story, because I believe that generally we want to trust people. And then if we've had life experiences that have broken down trust, or if we've had people who've been there for us and we trust them, and then we get into a relationship, dating or marriage, and something happens, then we all of a sudden like, wait, what? People don't, you did that? And so now I begin to question what I thought people were like. So trust is a process from early on to where I'm currently at, and is going to be influenced by the people around me. And the more trusting people I have, dependable, reliable, predictable, honest, the more I have that, I'm like, I can trust that person. I can trust that person. Then as I begin to mature, I begin to recognize that not all people are trustworthy because I have life experiences that teach me that lesson. But if everybody that I have been close to has let me down and in some way broken my trust, which by the way, we almost always hurt each other, and trust can be broken in a variety of ways. But when it's not repaired, that's when I begin to lose hope in society, hope in others, and I stop believing that people are good. So for me, I have to look at my own story and look at the people and the environment I grew up with. What did I learn about trust? What did I learn about people and their trustworthiness? And having had life experiences where our family experienced my dad's infidelity, having had experiences where I felt deep love and connection with my grandparents and my parents, even my dad in his consistent love, even after the betrayal, what I really learned, MaryAnn, is that it's complicated. And for me to put one size fits all on society is unfair and unjust to all of society. So I have the responsibility of learning how to determine who is safe and who is not.
I noticed just some intensity right there as you were talking about that, Dr. Skinner. And what I really resonate with what you said is trust is a continuum, it's a spectrum, and not all relationships are trustworthy. I'm reminded of a conversation we had in one of our lunch and learns together with our friend Daryl Brazell. And I remember him talking specifically about this topic, and he said, most of us don't remember learning how to walk. It's something that happens usually between 9 to 14 months. And we don't have a cognitive memory that I can say, I remember that first step. I can remember the look in my parents' eyes. We don't remember that. Our body learned how to do it, but we don't cognitively have those memories of a recall that we can go to. And this is called intrinsic memory, meaning it's internal. It's not something that we actually have a recall memory of. And when we're talking about these very early childhood experiences, we learn about safety. We call it attachment. And attachment is also learned in the first couple of years of life. And we have some experiences that build on that. Our brain and body are constantly saying, is the world safe? It's trying to predict how to react to what we experience. But we start from a place of learning how to interact with the world. Is it safe? Is it not safe? Will you be there for me when I need you?
Yeah, that last question, Sue Johnson, borrowing that phrase, are you there for me? Right. And that question, I don't think it's verbally said, but it's, are you dependable? Are you reliable? And if I could encourage the listeners who are really wanting to understand this, go watch the still face experiment. It's hard to watch because you've got a mother whose assignment is to be there with her child. And for the first part, they're interacting and playing, and then to turn her head away and come back and be still-faced. And literally within 30 to 45 seconds, that child is dysregulated, crying, reaching out, and it's this attachment rupture. And then she's back and she's repairing it. Mm-hmm. And as they say, when we can't repair it or it's not repaired, we begin to question, are you there for me? And if I conclude no, then I have to cope in some way. And so in every relationship we have, MaryAnn, trust is almost always an internal question of, are you there for me? Mm-hmm. Can I trust you? Are you safe? And we do that with every relationship, whether we consciously think it or not. We are doing that. And our level of connection is based upon our answer to those questions.
Mm-hmm. I want to break this down in two parts because I think this is so important. So this is research with Ed Tronick. Mm-hmm. And I love using this when we're talking about betrayal trauma. So for our listeners or viewers, we'll have a link. Please check it out. But as you watch it, this is what is occurring with betrayal. So the mom is there. She's interacting. As we watch the baby trying to interact with its mother, the mom's there. She's not responding at all. And the baby is like, hey, hi. She's waving her hands. She's just trying to get mom's attention. And then when that doesn't work, you can see a little bit of the baby's confusion. And then the baby shifts to another tactic. She gets a little bit louder. She gets a little bit more in the face. You see this protest coming up. It's just like, hey, where are you? Why can't you hear me? What's going on? And then the baby goes into full-on meltdown. And then the baby shuts off. Mm-hmm. When we're looking at betrayal trauma, that's often a pattern. Hey, are you there for me? Hey, are you there for me? That's where we hit maybe some anger, some frustration. We are really, really trying to get attention. And that may turn into the full meltdown. And then there is a phase where it's, I can't. There's nothing there. I give up. I can't try. This isn't just about a baby and a mom. This is a mirror of what relationships look like. And this is so simple to even break down with a cell phone. When you walk in a room and somebody's just looking at their screen, I'm going to invite our listeners and viewers, check this out in your own homes. Stop and observe what happens when somebody's on their phone. We go through these same cycles. And so I think it's important to really understand that this is a normal pattern that we can watch and stop and say, hold on a second, where is that happening for me? Where am I in that cycle? Where does that show up for me? Am I protesting? Am I shut down? Have I lost hope? So this is a spectrum, and this is something that's at play consistently, as you said, with all of our relationships, saying, are you there for me? Can you hear me? It's not a one and done.
So when we break down trust, that's the foundation. That's the starting point. Are you there for me? And we're consistently asking the question, and sometimes we are, and sometimes we aren't. But I have to add here, I can't expect that you will always be there for me. It's not fair because life happens. And when we understand that, we also understand that I believe you want to be there for me, but are struggling or can't or are too busy right now. When we have been apart and it's rebuilt, I come check in, we have that conversation, we rebuild that yes, he's or she's there for me. It's when we can't rebuild it, or the pain is so difficult that we don't know if I'd even want to, then we have to be honest with this process and say, I don't know where I'm at in this right now. I don't know if I want to trust you.
And when there's been betrayal, that mucks this up and takes it to, I think, to another level as well. I don't know if I can trust you. I don't know what you've been doing. I don't know what you've done. I don't know if I'm safe, and I don't have the information that I need. So if I've been betrayed, it can make it so hard because I may be in this holding pattern. I often see with my clients who have been betrayed, they get kind of stuck and frozen in this space, especially if they're waiting for a disclosure. We often wait to do some real serious repair work in the relationship until we've addressed the acting out behaviors so that we can begin to work on the wounding that's occurred. But if I don't know what's occurred, I can't work on it. And so this is a tricky place with betrayed partners. And so this is where I would go back to the conversation that we had last week with Jennifer. That's really about, what do I need to do to build my trust in myself?
Yeah.
Because I may not be able to trust my partner right now. It may not be safe. I don't know. And so I do need to find other safe supports, other safe places to trust, to rely.
And if I could add a couple parts, self-trust is really what you're talking about there. It begins with, can I trust my own feelings, my own thoughts? Because often when we work with individuals, they've lost that internal confidence of, I believe in that self. So healing from betrayal is coming into trusting self again, which allows us then to create more boundaries or effective boundaries based upon what we're experiencing, because they're more authentic. If I don't trust myself, a boundary is going to be more difficult. That's another way of saying that. So then looking at the other side of it, when I develop that self-trust, then I have that internal confidence. I believe in myself because I know who I am. And when I know who I am, I'm way more effective at communicating the statement. I'm struggling to trust right now, or I don't know if I can trust right now, rather than going along and not saying it because I don't want the conflict. So when I trust self enough, I am able to communicate effectively. And when I can't, I hold back and sometimes go along for the ride, leading my partner to an assumption that we're somehow working on trust. But I don't know if I'm at the space where I'm ready for trust. That authenticity allows the relationship to have a honest conversation. So truthfully, trust then allows honest conversation.
Dr. Skinner, what's coming to my mind is there's some steps, I think, before this. Before I can even get to this trust base, if I've been betrayed, I've got to make sense of my story, and I've got to grieve. I've got to be able to find the words to say, this is where I'm at. Oftentimes with betrayal trauma and with grief, we have this initial denial. I don't want to face it. I don't want to deal with it. I want to push it away. It's too painful. If I'm in that space, which is a normal space, it's a normal part of betrayal, is this hurts so bad. I might not have any emotions right now, or I can't face it. I'm afraid to. I don't want to. I have to make sense of what I'm experiencing and what my story is and what happened to me before I can get to that space where I'm starting to say, okay, now I can show up with where I'm at with you.
Mm, mm.
Yeah.
That's a great point. It's hard to show up in a relationship when I don't know myself well enough.
Or I'm ignoring it,
Mm.
avoiding it. So that avoidance and that denial, if we're numb, we're not feeling anything.
Yeah.
It's really hard to trust myself if I don't even know what I feel about something. And so I want to make sure for our listeners that we're saying this is a normal part of the process. This is part of PTSD. You got hit with something that your brain doesn't know how to make sense of. And your brain is going to take some time. It needs some time and space to kind of let the dust settle to say, where am I in this? What do I do with this? And I'll invite you to trust that, trust your body, trust the process, or at least I want to validate what you're experiencing. So you say, okay, this is normal. It might be normal that I feel numb. It might be normal that I don't know what to do, that I don't even know what I'm feeling. I have no idea what I'm feeling. What am I supposed to be feeling right now? Because I don't even know. That's normal. And so rather than beating yourself up because you don't know and you're not already trusting, I want to just validate, yeah, this is called grief.
Yeah. And I remember a few years ago reading Dr. Bessel van der Kolk's book, The Body Keeps the Score, one of my favorite books in terms of understanding trauma. To me, it's like the Bible of trauma.
Mm-hmm.
And he was talking about individuals who had been in inpatient care programs for a variety of reasons. And in their research, they found that about 25% reported that when they thought about individuals that they could trust or that were there for them, that about 25% said, I've never had that in my life.
Wow.
If you've never had people who are reliable, people who you can trust, depend upon, then naturally you're just going to assume that people won't be there for you, or that they'll let you down, or that they're not trustworthy. Whether you've never had it, or if you are the person who said it was my grandma or my grandpa or my aunt or my mom or my dad, or everybody, Thich Nhat Hanh said, needs somebody. We need that person that's reliable, dependable, that will be there for us. And so the gift that we all give to society is our presence, so people can trust that there's somebody who cares for them, who has their back, who genuinely loves them. And to me, MaryAnn, the foundation of trust is actually in our relationships and overcoming it. It may be one person. I remember an individual who probably could have said, I don't know of anybody except my grandma. And that individual, as we did work, clung to a grandma who had passed away, to her warmth, to her love, to her attention, to who she was with him. And so that somebody was not living, but continued to give because of the way she was. And so to me, the trust comes from that interaction that a grandma gave, that somebody in our lives has done that for us. And to me, that's actually how our society gets better, is when we identify that I'm going to be a person who another person can turn to and be there. And I will be that trustworthy person that they can share their challenges, their pains with. I want to be that for you. That's the real message.
And I think that's part of the reason why we're doing the work that we do, Dr. Skinner. I know that we've both experienced betrayal through our families and through different situations, and being able to say, hey, here I am. Here's part of my story. I get it. I get you. I understand what's going on. I also want to go back to what you were talking about. Everybody does need somebody. Brene Brown says we need one or two bury a body friends. We're not condoning murder or burying bodies, but I need to be able to have one or two people that I can call and say, hey, I need some help. Can you be there? And oftentimes with betrayal trauma, what I found is sometimes my clients will find those buried body friends in their groups, in their support groups, people who get it, who get them. But in my training with Sue Johnson, I remember one of the things that she talked about very specifically was sometimes individuals don't have those resources. Maybe they didn't have the grandma. There are individuals who have had a lot of abuse and a lot of betrayal in their lives. They have not had the experiences of the repair of those ruptures that we started talking about when we were talking about that still phase, where maybe no one was really there. And so I remember Sue Johnson saying, this is where sometimes our job as a therapist is to be that attachment place, a safe place where our clients can show up. And so for any of our listeners or viewers, if this might apply for you, I encourage you to find an EFT therapist, a therapist who is trained in emotional focused therapy, because that is all about that attachment repair and finding at least one place where you can show up and be vulnerable and it is safe and you are regarded and cared for in a healthy way. Sometimes we have to have that modeled if we don't have it already in our backpack that we're carrying with us.
Simply said, self-trust first, then finding your tribe, finding your people the people that you can learn to trust if you've had that experience where there haven't been people. And those who have people, express your gratitude to them. Let them know how much you appreciate them as a human being, because the gift that you're now giving them is your appreciation for who they are. And that reinforces it in all of us when people simply say, thank you. Thank you for who you are in my life.
I love that. So many times I think we just are surviving, especially when there's been betrayal, that we may forget to notice, oh, wait, here is somebody who is a benevolent character, who has been a benevolent character in my life. So I think that reevaluating can be really helpful. Who is safe for me? Who hasn't been safe? Where can I turn right now? And for a lot of my clients, this is where, when we're doing 12-step work, we use a higher power, because sometimes that's all I can turn to. Something greater than I do not believe that I am the greatest power in the universe. I think there's a lot of things that are greater than me. And since I'm not the greatest power in the universe, whether it's God, whether it's Buddha, whether it's something faith-based religious, or whether it's recognizing the ocean is greater than I am, it's stronger than I am, my group has more knowledge and power and wisdom than I am, whatever that looks like, finding greater power that I can connect with, that I can find support from, is really important. It's a really important part of this creating trust in myself.
If I had a quarter for every time somebody has said, when I asked the question, who is that person for you? Who is that? And they have said, my higher power, I would probably be pretty wealthy, because they have been through it and they have found that higher power has strengthened them, fortified them. Not everybody's had that experience, and some people feel let down by their higher power. But it's amazing to me the transition from he's not there to, oh yeah, my higher power has my back, and I know it, and I can share the experience. And I'll always ask what that experience is, and the stories are just amazing to me. Specific examples of people feeling that strength and power.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Skinner. Do you have any last thoughts that you want to share as we wrap up for today?
There's two other parts I would want to add. So there's a concept called implicit trust. Implicit trust is implicitly I trust people. Explicit trust is through like experiences where I know because I've sensed, experienced your presence in these ways. So explicit has more details to why I trust you, because I had this situation and you showed up, or I was struggling and you sent me a message. Those explicit types of actions make it so I have in my mind, my memory bank of how you were there for me.
So you kind of earn it.
Yeah, it's what we may refer to as earned trust through actions. But implicit is when I just expect it, I just give it out, but I haven't had life experiences to say whether you are or are not going to be that for me.
Which could be like a baby. or a child.
Yeah. So explicit then is details and stories and breadth because of it. And I would say that's really where intimacy comes in, is I have experienced it with you. And so if I could conclude, it's continue to find people and create those experiences in people where they have those memories with you and you with them.
I love that, Dr. Skinner. It's been so fun to have you back, and I look forward to next time we have you back again. Thank you so much for rounding out this 4-week series that we've been doing on trust. Before we wrap up, I just want to add that we have the Human Intimacy Conference coming up, and that'll be March 13th and 14th. And Dr. Skinner, you're going to be talking about compassion and empathy and also intimacy. Is there anything you want to share about that?
Yeah, so excited for the conference. Phenomenal presenters. I'm really caring a lot about right now about educating people on the difference between empathy and compassion, because when we understand compassion, we're going to be way more effective in relationships. So I'm going to be talking about it from a polyvagal theory, an application. We're going to be talking about how to apply those two, empathy and compassion, in our relationships. And then I'm going to be introducing the intimacy repair method for couples who are really wanting to enhance the relationship, work through trauma, work through acting out behaviors, and understand each other on a much deeper level. So it's a 7-pillar process. I'm really excited to share it.
I'm super excited. Thank you for sharing that. So it's going to be online. And I know Michelle Mays will be there. Dr. Sherry Kepper will be there. Dr. Karen Strange, Chris Cristiano. I'll be presenting as well. So some of our podcast guests will be there. It's going to be a really fantastic conference. So thank you to our listeners. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Dr. Skinner, for your time and for this topic. And we look forward to seeing you all next week.
Hey, thank you.